We've walked on the moon, we've built tunnels clean under oceans, and our tallest buildings practically scrape the sky. But there is one ancient structure that still challenges our most advanced engineering. I'm talking about the Great Pyramids of Egypt. These are 4,500-year-old marvels that, to this day, leave scientists and engineers just absolutely stunned. So what would it really take to build one today? Come on, let's break it down.
And really, it all boils down to this one simple question. Could we, with all our modern tech, all our know-how, actually pull it off and build one again? Now, in this explainer, we're not just going to guess. We're going to dig into the real numbers to figure out what it would actually take.
Okay, first things first. To even wrap our heads around this, we have to understand the sheer, unbelievable scale of this thing. We're talking about the Great Pyramid of Giza, right? It stands at 147 meters tall. To put that into perspective for you, that's the same height as a modern 40-story office building. And its footprint on the ground? Well, it covers about 12 acres. That's the same as nearly 10 American football fields. This isn't just some building. It's basically a man-made mountain. It is just colossal in every single sense of the word. But here it is. This is the stat that just blows my mind. The Great Pyramid is made up of 2.3 million individual stone blocks. And listen, these aren't bricks. The smallest blocks weigh around 2 tons. And the biggest? They get up to 60 tons. Think about that for a second. Every single one of those millions of blocks weighs about as much as a large SUV.
All right, so let's put on our hard hats and start our little hypothetical 2026 construction project. The first phase is just laying the groundwork, and trust me, you are going to be amazed at how fast the costs start to pile up. First off, you can't just build a 6 million ton structure anywhere you want. Nope, you need land that's perfectly level and geologically stable enough to handle all that weight. Just buying that land and getting the permits would run you about $120 million. And then the foundation. A 4-meter thick, 500,000-ton concrete base to make sure the whole thing doesn't just sink into the ground. That's another $400 million right there.
And would you look at that? We are already at over $500 million, $550 million to be exact, and we haven't even touched a single stone yet. This is just the price to get the stage set. Okay, now for the main event, this single biggest headache of this entire project. Getting our hands on 2.3 million stone blocks. This is where the logistics turn into a modern industrial nightmare, and it goes way beyond just the price tag. So with today's tech, a single advanced factory can churn out about 100 of these blocks a day. At that pace, it would take one factory over 60 years. So to hit a more, reasonable 5-year timeline, we'd need 250 of these machines running at the same time. That means a huge manufacturing push before you even cut the first stone, a fleet of 500 trucks running non-stop, and a power supply of 20 megawatts per hour. That's enough to power a whole small town.
So let's look at the costs here. The raw limestone itself, a jaw-dropping $1 billion. The electricity to keep those 250 machines humming for 5 years, that's $155 million. And moving 6 million tons of stone over 900 kilometers, well, that adds another $200 million to the tab.
Okay, time to update our running total. We just added over $1.3 billion for the stones alone. Our new grand total is now sitting at just over $1.9 billion. We're not quite at $2 billion yet, but oh boy, we are getting close.
Okay, so we've got our foundation, and our 2.3 million SUV-sized blocks all sitting at the construction site. Now comes the most dangerous and technically tricky part of the whole shebang. The final assembly.
So here's the big engineering puzzle. How in the world do you lift blocks weighing up to 60 tons all the way up to the height of a 40-story building? Even our beefiest modern cranes have their limits, and a job like this pushes them right to the edge. We need specialized massive tower cranes just to have a chance. And this quote just brilliantly captures the real challenge, right? It's not just about lifting the stones. It's about placing them with an almost impossible level of precision. The original builders fit these massive, funky-shaped blocks together so tightly, you literally can't slip a credit card between them. To replicate that kind of skill on this scale it's an incredible feat.
So, let's add up these final big-ticket items. The massive 10,000-ton class tower cranes we'd need for the heavy lifting, that's going to cost about $300 million. The workforce of over 3,000 skilled workers on the payroll for 5 years adds another $400 million.
And finally, for that iconic, shiny look, the smooth white limestone outer casing would be an extra $250 million. That's what made the originals gleam in the sun.
All right, the moment of truth. We've laid the foundation, we've moved the stone, we've put the whole thing together. It is time to add it all up and see the final price tag for our 21st century pyramid.
So the grand total comes to just under $2.9 billion. You know what? Let's just round it up to an absolutely mind-blowing $3 billion. A single building costing $3 billion to copy today.
And get this, $3 billion is probably a conservative estimate. That number doesn't include stuff like taxes, which would be enormous. It doesn't include the cost of building a whole new power plant just to supply the energy. And it definitely doesn't include the countless other hidden costs that always pop up with a mega project like this.
So, this brings us all the way back to our very first question. We've seen the scale, we've tallied up the insane costs, so what's the final call? Can we actually do it?
And the answer is, well, it's kind of fascinating. Technically, yes. With enough money, enough resources, and a whole lot of political will, we could physically build a new Great Pyramid. But practically speaking, the answer is a hard no.